Hey there, Seahawks. It's Miss Adams, and in this video, we're going to talk about sampling and observational studies. So we do have quite a bit more vocabulary. That's okay. All right, categorical data and quantitative data. Categorical data, which is also sometimes called qualitative data, consists of attributes, labels, or non-numerical entries. So color, shape, things that are not numbers. Sometimes categorical data can be a number. For example, like an area code. So it's a number, but it's talking about like people that live in this area, which is like a category. Quantitative data consists of numerical measurements or counts. An observational study is when a researcher observes and measures characteristics of interest of part of a population but does not change existing conditions. Researchers do not influence the responses. Okay, so they just observe. Just observe what happens, and they make note, and then they develop some research based off of what they've observed. Randomization is a method based on chance alone by which study participants are assigned to a treatment group. Census is an official count or survey of the entire population. A simple random sample is a sample in which every possible sample of the same size has the same chance of being selected. Okay, so basically you just put everybody in a bag, you shake the bag, and you assign them one by one to their different treatments. Okay, a simple random sample is not always the most simple thing to do. Okay, a stratified random sample is when the population is first split into groups. The overall sample consists of some members from each group. The members from each group are chosen randomly. So you have these different groups. So maybe you have like freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So you have these groups, and then you take each group, you put all the freshmen in a bag, you shake the bag, and you take some of the freshmen. Then you have your other group, which is sophomores, you put them all in a bag, you shake the bag, and you take some of the sophomores, and then you repeat that for juniors and seniors. Okay, so your sample has a little bit from each group. A cluster sample is when the population is first split into groups. The overall sample consists of all members from some of the groups. The groups are selected at random. Okay, so we could do a cluster sample very similar. Like say we had freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and we wrote on a slip of paper, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. We put those 4 pieces of paper in a bag. We shook the bag and we pulled out one of those slips of paper. If we picked juniors, then every single junior would be our sample. All right, and sometimes you might want to make sure that you don't have groups that are so different. Sometimes you want them to be different. It just depends on how you're setting it up. Systematic sample. Members of the population are put in some order. A starting point is selected at random, and every nth member is selected to be in the sample. Okay, so you put all the people in order, you give them a number, you randomly select a number. Let's say you want to have 10 participants, so then you divide your total people so that you can have 10 participants. You find a random number between 1 and whatever that amount is in each group. You start there, and then you pick however many you need so that you can get 10 participants. Convenience sample. The researcher chooses a sample that is readily available in some non-random way. Okay, convenience sample is generally not a very good way of going about collecting samples. Voluntary response sample. The researcher puts out a request for members of a population to join the sample, and people decide whether or not to be in the sample. This is also not a great way of collecting data. All right, practice. Use the table of random digits to identify 5 students out of the 85 students in the lunchroom will be, so if you have 85 students in the lunchroom, we're going to pick 5 of them, and they're going to be selected at random to win a free Seahawk t-shirt. All right, so first thing I need to do is kind of set this up. So I have a table of random digits. I just have random numbers. I'm going to use that to pick the 5 people who are going to win. All right, so I am going to use the numbers 1 through 85. Now I need to make sure I use 2-digit numbers. So 0, 1 through 85, which means I'm going to ignore 0, 0, and then 86 through 99. I'm also going to ignore any repeats because once I've given a free t-shirt to that one person, I'm not going to give them another t-shirt just because their number got called again. Alright, so I'm going to take my table of random digits and I'm going to separate them into 2-digit numbers. Okay, I did a few. I didn't go all the way because I think I'll probably get 5 by that amount. So I'm going to look at each number and decide if it's a number I can use and if I'll give that person a shirt or if I should go to the next number. So the first number we have is 96. That is a number that we are ignoring. It's bigger than 85. Then we have 56. That one will work. So whoever has number 56 will get a shirt. 50, that will work. 50 again, well, that's a repeat, so we're going to ignore that. 0, 7, which is 7, that will work. 16, that will work. So we have 4 students already. We just need one more. 60, that will work. All right, and so I'm going to stop there. And so students numbered 56, 57, 16, and 60 will be selected to get the free shirts. And I stopped after I gave away 5 because I only had 5 shirts to give. All right, identifying which sampling method was used in each situation. A sociologist conducted an opinion survey in a major city. Part of the research plan calls for describing and comparing the opinions of 4 different ethnic groups: African Americans, Asian Americans, European Americans, and Native Americans, for a total sample of 300. The researchers select 75 participants from each of the 4 predetermined subgroups. Okay, so because I'm taking some from each of the subgroups, this is a stratified random sample. The next one. A sample of 2,000 was sought to estimate the average achievement in science for 5th graders in a city's public schools. The average 5th grade enrollment in the city's elementary schools is 100 students. Thus, 20 schools were randomly selected, and within each of those schools, all 5th graders were tested. Okay, so we selected 20 schools that were randomly selected, and every student in those randomly selected schools was tested. So this is a cluster sample. So we broke them up by the different schools within that county or school district, and then we picked 20 of them. Okay, and then every single student, every single 5th grader in those 20 selected schools made up our sample. All right, go Seahawks.